The darkness was the first thing June noticed. It was not the darkness of night or the darkness of a closed room. It was something deeper, something that pressed against his eyes like cold water. He tried to move his arms, but they would not listen. His legs felt heavy, as if someone had filled them with wet sand. His head hurt. A sharp pain sat behind his eyes, and every heartbeat made it worse. Where was he? The last thing he remembered was the forest. He had been hiking with Hana. They had chosen a quiet trail in the mountains, far from the city. It was supposed to be a peaceful weekend. Just the two of them, away from work and noise and the endless demands of life. Then the light had come. It had fallen from the sky like a silent explosion. White and bright and impossible. Hannah had grabbed his hand. He remembered that. He remembered the fear in her eyes. And then everything had gone black. Now he was here. Wherever here was. June forced his eyes to open wider. Slowly, the darkness became less complete. He could see shapes now. The ceiling above him was smooth and gray. It curved slightly, like the inside of a shell. Strange symbols glowed faintly along the edges, colors he could not name. This was not Earth. The thought hit him like a punch to the chest. He was not on Earth. He was somewhere else. Somewhere far, far away. He tried to sit up, but something held him down. Metal bands wrapped around his wrists and ankles. Another band crossed his chest. They were cold against his skin, and no matter how hard he pulled, they did not move. June was not a weak man. He had served in the military for 8 years. He had trained his body to fight, to survive, to endure. But these restraints were different. They were not made by human hands. A sound reached his ears. Footsteps, but wrong. Too many of them, coming too fast. The pattern was strange, like someone walking on too many legs. Light flooded the room. June closed his eyes against it, then forced them open again. He would not show weakness. He would not give them that. 3 figures stood before him. They were tall, taller than any human he had ever seen. Their bodies were thin and covered in scales that shimmered like oil on water. They had 4 arms each and moved with a grace that made June think of insects. Their faces were flat, with large eyes that reflected the light like mirrors. These were not humans. These were not anything from Earth. One of them stepped forward. It made a sound, a series of clicks and whistles that meant nothing to June. Then a small device near its neck glowed, and words came out. Strange, mechanical words. "The specimen is awake," it said. "Begin recording." Specimen. The word burned in June's mind. They called him a specimen, like he was a bug under glass. Like he was nothing. "Where am I?" June asked. His voice was rough. His throat felt like sand. "Where's Hana?" The creatures looked at each other. More clicks and whistles passed between them. Then the one with the translator spoke again. "The female is in another chamber. She's being studied separately." Studied. The word made June's blood run cold. What did they mean by studied? What were they doing to her? "Let her go," June said. He pulled against the restraints. The metal dug into his skin, but he did not care. "Let us both go, now." The creatures did not react to his anger. They watched him the way scientists watch animals in cages. With cold interest. With no emotion at all. "Fascinating," one of them said. "It shows aggression even in a helpless state. Note this behavior." Another one moved closer. It held a small tool in one of its 4 hands. The tool glowed with soft blue light. "We must complete the physical examination," it said. "The Council wishes to understand this species fully." The tool touched June's arm. Pain shot through his body, sharp and sudden. He clenched his teeth to stop himself from screaming. He would not give them the satisfaction. "Remarkable pain tolerance," the creature observed. "Higher than expected." but still within acceptable limits. What do you want from us? June asked. The pain was fading, but the anger remained. It burned in his chest like a fire. The lead creature tilted its head. The movement was strange, almost curious. What? It repeated. We want knowledge. Your species is new to us. You appeared in this sector only recently. The Council has ordered a full study. We are not animals, June said. We are people. We are people. We have rights. A sound came from the creatures. It took June a moment to realize they were laughing. It was an ugly sound, cold and hollow. Rights, the translator said. What a curious concept. You have no rights here. Human, you are far from your world, far from your tools and machines. Here, you are nothing but flesh and bone. The creature leaned closer. Its mirror eyes reflected June's face back at him. Your species is weak, it said. You have no natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armor. Without your tools, you are among the frailest creatures in the known galaxy. That is why you were chosen for study. The Council wishes to understand how such weak beings manage to survive at all. June said nothing. He looked into those cold mirror eyes and kept his face blank. Inside, his mind was racing. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans were helpless without machines and weapons. They had taken him and Hannah because they believed they posed no threat. They were wrong. June did not know how he would escape. He did not know how he would find Hannah. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. These creatures had made a mistake. A terrible, terrible mistake. And they would learn the truth about humans. The hard way. The creatures turned and walked away. The lights dimmed. June was alone again in the darkness. But this time, the darkness did not feel so heavy. This time, it felt like a friend. A place to think. A place to plan. He tested the restraints again. They were strong. But nothing was unbreakable. Nothing was impossible. Somewhere in this place, Hannah was waiting. Somewhere in this place, answers were hiding. June closed his eyes and began to wait. He was patient. He was determined. And he was human. That would be enough. Time moved strangely in the alien ship. There were no windows. No sun to mark the passing of hours. Only the dim glow of strange symbols on the walls and the endless hum of machines. June could not see. He had been awake for what felt like days. Maybe it was only hours. He could not tell. The creatures came and went on their own schedule. They poked him with tools. They scanned his body with lights. They spoke about him as if he could not hear. June listened to everything. He watched everything. He remembered everything. The creatures called themselves the Veth. He had learned this from their conversations. They were part of something called the Veth Council, a group that ruled over many star systems. To them, the galaxy was theirs to explore and study. Other species were just objects to examine, and humans were their newest interest. The bone structure is surprisingly dense, one of the Veth said during an examination. It was the same one who had spoken to June before. June had started to think of it as the leader. Much denser than initial scans suggested. But still breakable, another one said. This one was smaller, with darker scales. June called it the assistant in his mind. The strength ratio is poor. They rely entirely on external support. Tools, the leader agreed. Their entire civilization is built on tools. Remove the tools, and they are nothing. June kept his face still. He did not react. But inside, he felt a cold anger growing. The Veth had done their research. They knew about human technology. They knew about cars and planes and ships and weapons. They had watched humanity from afar, studying their machines and inventions. And they had concluded that humans were weak. It was almost funny. Almost? What about the brain? The assistant asked. The scan showed unusual activity. The leader made a clicking sound. Agreement, maybe? Or interest? Yes, the neural patterns are complex. More complex than we expected from such a primitive species. They seem capable of advanced problem-solving. Survival adaptation, the assistant said. Weak bodies require smart minds. It is common among prey species. Prey species. June stored that phrase away with all the others. He would remember it later. The examination continued. The vet measured his heartbeat, his breathing, his blood pressure. They tested his reflexes and his reactions to pain. They made him run on a machine until his legs burned and his lungs screamed for air. Through it all, June said nothing. He did what they asked. He showed them what they wanted to see. A weak creature. A helpless specimen. Something to be pitied and studied. He was playing a game. And he was playing it well. Endurance is moderate, the leader noted after the running test. They can maintain activity for extended periods, but peak performance is limited. No match for a Veth warrior. Or even a Veth child, the assistant added. The ugly laughing sound filled the room. June breathed heavily on the machine. Sweat dripped down his face. But his eyes were sharp. His mind was clear. He had noticed something during the test. The restraints on his wrists had loosened slightly. Not much, just a tiny bit. But it was something. The Veth did not see it. They were too busy looking at their data. Too busy feeling superior. That was their weakness, pride. They were so sure of themselves. So certain that humans were nothing special. They did not look closely. They did not pay attention to the small things. And in the small things, June found his hope. After the physical tests came the questions. The Veth wanted to understand how humans thought. They asked June about his life, his world, his people. Tell us about your military service, the leader said. We detected signs of combat training in your body. June considered his answer carefully. He could lie. He could tell them nothing. But maybe the truth would serve him better. I was a soldier, he said. For 8 years. A soldier, the leader repeated. A fighter. With weapons, yes. Guns and bombs and machines of war. Yes, without those weapons, what are you? June looked at the leader. Their eyes met. Mirror against darkness. Still a soldier, June said. The Veth did not understand. He could see it in their stillness and the way they looked at each other. The concept made no sense to them. Explain, the leader demanded. A soldier is not made by weapons, June said slowly. Weapons are just tools. A soldier is made by training, by discipline, by will. Will, the assistant repeated. An abstract concept. It cannot be measured. No, June agreed. It cannot. The Veth were silent for a long moment. Then the leader spoke again. We have studied many species. All of them believed themselves special. All of them believed they had some quality that made them different. They were wrong. In the end, they were all just flesh and bone. Just like you. Maybe, June said. Or maybe you have never met a species like us. More silence. The Veth exchanged looks. Then the leader made a sound that might have been dismissal. Return him to his chamber. We have collected enough data for now. The smaller Veth came forward. They unhooked the restraints and pulled June off the machine. His legs were weak from the running, but he forced himself to stand straight. He would not stumble. He would not fall. They led him through gray corridors. The ship was a maze of smooth walls and strange symbols. June memorized every turn, every door, every detail. Somewhere in this maze, Hana was waiting. He would find her. His chamber was small and bare. A raised platform served as a bed. A small opening in the wall provided water when he pressed it. There was nothing else. No chair, no window. Nothing to use as a tool or weapon. The Veth of everything. Almost everything. When the door closed behind him, June sat on the platform. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Then he began to move his wrists. The restraints had loosened during the running test. Not by accident. June had made them loosen. He had flexed his muscles in a certain way, twisted his arms at certain angles. Old tricks from his military training. Ways to escape from ropes and cuffs and other bindings. The Veth metal was stronger than anything on Earth, but it still followed the laws of physics. Pressure and friction and leverage still worked. It would just take longer. June worked his wrists back and forth. The skin rubbed raw. Blood seeped out. He ignored the pain. Pain was just information. It told him he was alive. Hours passed. Maybe days. June lost track. He ate when food came through a slot in the door. He drank water from the wall. He slept in short bursts. And always, he worked on the restraints. The Veth thought they knew humans. They had done their scans and their tests and their measurements. They had reduced humanity to data points on a screen. But they did not know the most important thing about humans. They did not know what happened when a human had something to fight for. June thought about Hannah, her smile, her laugh, the way she looked at him when she thought he was not watching. She was somewhere in this ship, scared and alone. And she was counting on him. He would not fail her. The restraints would break. The door would open. The Veth would learn. Humans were not weak. Humans were not helpless. Humans were survivors. And June was going to prove it. The scream came from nowhere and everywhere at once. June had been working on his restraints when he heard it. A single sound that cut through the silence of the ship like a knife through paper. High and sharp and filled with pain. He knew that voice. He knew it better than his own heartbeat. Hannah. June stopped moving. Every muscle in his body went tight. The blood in his veins turned to ice, then to fire. His hands shook. Not from fear, from something older. Something deeper. Rage. The scream came again. Longer this time. More desperate. Whatever the Veth were doing to her, it was hurting her. It was hurting her badly. June stood up. The restraints on his wrists were still there, weakened but not broken. He had been patient. He had been careful. He had been playing the long game. No more. He pulled at the metal bands with all his strength. The pain in his wrists exploded. The raw skin tore further. Blood ran down his fingers and dripped onto the floor. But June did not stop. He could not stop. Hannah needed him. The restraints groaned. The sound was small but beautiful. The sound was small but beautiful. Metal under stress. Metal beginning to fail. June pulled harder. He thought about Hannah. He thought about the first time they met, at a small coffee shop in Seoul. She had spilled her drink on his jacket by accident. Instead of being angry, he had laughed. She had laughed too. And that was the beginning. Another scream echoed through the walls. This one was weaker, fading, like she was running out of strength. June roared. The sound tore from his throat without thought or control. It was not a human sound. It was the sound of an animal pushed too far. The sound of something dangerous being born. The metal bands twisted. One of them cracked. Not enough. Not yet. He thought about their life together. 3 years of memories. Morning walks in the park. Late nights watching old movies. The way she hummed when she cooked dinner. The way she cried when she was happy. She was everything. She was his whole world. And someone was hurting her. The rage burned brighter. June felt it spreading through his body like electricity. His muscles screamed with effort. His bones ached from the pressure. But he did not feel pain anymore. He felt only purpose. The Veth thought humans were weak without tools. They thought humans were just flesh and bone. They were about to learn how wrong they were, because the human body was itself a tool, the most dangerous tool ever created by nature. Millions of years of evolution had built it for one purpose: survival, at any cost. And right now, survival meant breaking free. June remembered his training, the long months in the military, the endless drills and exercises, the instructors who had pushed him beyond every limit he thought he had. They had taught him that the body could do far more than the mind believed. They had taught him that limits were illusions. He had never fully believed them. Until now, another scream. Weaker still. Almost a whisper. June screamed back. His voice joined hers across the ship. A promise. A warning. I am coming. I am coming for you. He planted his feet on the floor and pushed with everything he had. His legs drove upward. His arms pulled outward. His whole body became a single machine of force and fury. The restraints fought back. They were strong. Stronger than anything on Earth. But they had not been designed for this. They had not been designed for a human who had nothing left to lose. A crack appeared in the metal. Then another. The bands began to bend. The door to his chamber opened. Two Veth guards stood there, drawn by the noise. Their mirror eyes widened when they saw what was happening. Impossible, one of them said. The restraints are rated for. Jin did not let them finish. He gave one final pull, one final scream, one final surge of desperate strength. The metal shattered. Pieces flew across the room like broken teeth. June stumbled forward, his arms suddenly free. Blood covered his hands. His wrists were ruined, raw meat where skin used to be. But he did not care. He was free. The guards reached for their weapons. They were fast. Faster than any human could be. Their forearms moved in a blur of scales and claws. But June was already moving. He had spent 8 years learning how to fight. Not just with weapons, but with hands and feet and elbows and knees. He had learned to use his body as a weapon, to strike fast and hard and without mercy. The first guard never saw the punch coming. June's fist connected with its flat face with a sound like breaking glass. The creature flew backward and hit the wall. It did not get up. The second guard had its weapon out. A strange device that hummed with energy. It pointed it at June and pressed something. June moved sideways. The shot passed by his ear, close enough to feel the heat. He grabbed the guard's arm and twisted. The weapon fell to the floor. Then June struck again. And again. And again. The guard collapsed. It was still alive, but barely. Its mirror eyes were cracked, and dim. June stood over the fallen Veth. His chest heaved with each breath. His heart pounded so hard he could hear it. But his mind was clear, clearer than it had ever been. He picked up the fallen weapon. It felt strange in his hand, built for 4 arms instead of 2. But he figured out the trigger quickly enough. He stepped over the guards and into the corridor. The ship stretched out before him, a maze of gray walls and glowing symbols. Somewhere in this maze, Hana was waiting. An alarm began to sound. A high wailing noise that echoed through the halls. They knew he was free. They were coming for him. Let them come. June started walking, then running. His bare feet slapped against the cold floor. His bloody hands gripped the alien weapon. His eyes scanned every corner, every door, every shadow. He had no idea where he was going. He had no map, no guide, no plan. But he did not need one. He would search every room in this ship. He would fight every guard in his way. He would tear this whole place apart if he had to, because Hannah was waiting. And June was done waiting. The Veth had wanted to study humans. They had wanted to understand what made them survive. Now they were going to get their answer. Not tools, not technology, not machines or weapons or inventions. Will. Pure, unstoppable, unbreakable will. June ran deeper into the ship. Behind him, the alarm screamed. Ahead of him, the unknown waited. He did not slow down. He did not look back. He just kept running, kept fighting, kept believing. Hannah was out there somewhere, and he was going to find her. No matter what it took. The corridors of the Veth ship lured past June like a fevered dream. Gray walls, glowing symbols, the endless wail of alarms. He ran through it all, his bare feet leaving bloody prints on the cold metal floor. More guards came. They always came. The first group appeared around a corner. 3 of them, weapons raised and ready. They were faster than him, stronger than him, better armed than him. It did not matter. June did not slow down. He dove forward, sliding under their first shots on his knees. The energy blasts passed over his head and hit the wall behind him. Then he was among them, too close for them to use their weapons. He grabbed one guard by its thin neck and used it as a shield. The other 2 hesitated for half a second. Half a second was too long. June threw his shield into one of them and kicked the legs out from under the other. Before they could recover, he was moving again, snatching up another weapon and running deeper into the ship. His body hurt. Everything hurt. The wounds on his wrists had stopped bleeding, but they screamed with every movement. His muscles burned from effort. His lungs ached for air. He had been running and fighting for what felt like hours, but the pain was just noise now. Background static. He pushed it away and kept going. A door opened ahead of him. This was different. Not another corridor. A larger room. June slowed and raised his weapon, ready for another fight. But the room was empty. Almost in the center stood a single Veth. It was the leader, the one who had spoken to him during the examinations. It stood calmly, hands clasped in front of it, watching June with those cold mirror eyes. Remarkable, the leader said through its translator. Truly remarkable. June aimed the weapon at its chest. Where is Hannah? The female? The leader tilted its head. She is close. Very close. But I think we should talk first. I'm done talking. Are you? The leader took a step forward. June did not lower the weapon. You have fought through 12 of my guards. You have broken restraints that were designed to hold creatures 3 times your strength. You have done things that our data said were impossible. Your data was wrong. Yes. The leader made a sound that might have been a sigh. Our data was very wrong. We studied your species for many years. We watched your wars and your struggles. We measured your bodies and your machines. We thought we understood what you were. You do not understand anything. No, the leader agreed. We did not. Until now. It reached up with one of its 4 hands and touched something on the wall. A screen appeared, floating in the air like a ghost. On the screen, June saw numbers and graphs and images. Data. Readings. When you broke the restraints, the leader said, your body did something we have never seen before. Your muscles produced force far beyond their normal capacity. Your heart rate and blood pressure reached levels that should have killed you. Your brain released chemicals that blocked pain and increased strength and speed. June said nothing. He knew what the Veth was describing. He had felt it happening. We have a name for this in your language, the leader continued. You call it adrenaline, the fight or flight response. We knew about it, of course. Many species have similar systems. But yours is different. Yours is more. More how? The leader looked at him. For the first time, June thought he saw something like respect in those mirror eyes. In other species, This response helps them run away. It helps them escape danger. But in humans, it does something else. It makes you more dangerous. It makes you fight harder. It makes you impossible to stop. We are survivors, June said. That is what we do. No. The leader shook its head. You are more than survivors. You are something we have never seen before. A species that becomes stronger when it is pushed. A species that does not break under pressure. A species that turns pain into power. The leader stepped closer. June kept the weapon raised, but he did not fire. Not yet. Do you know what we call humans now? After watching what you have done? I do not care what you call us. We call you the Unbroken. The leader's translator voice carried an edge of something. Fear, maybe. Or awe. Because no matter what we do to you, you do not break. You bend. You suffer. But you always get back up. June felt the words settle into him. The Unbroken. It was a good name. A true name. Where is Hana? He asked again. His voice was quieter now, but no less dangerous. The leader pointed to a door on the far side of the room. Through there. She is alive. We did not damage her permanently. What did you do to her? We tested her. As we tested you, we wanted to see if all humans were like you. We wanted to know if the strength was in the species or just in the individual. And what did you find? The leader was silent for a moment. Then it spoke, and its words were heavy with meaning. She is like you. When she heard you fighting, when she knew you were coming for her, she did something impossible too. She broke her own restraints. Weaker than yours, but still beyond her measured capacity. She injured 3 of my researchers before we sedated her. Pride swelled in June's chest. That was Hana. That was the woman he loved. She had not waited to be rescued. She had fought her own battle. You made a mistake, June said. Taking us. Studying us. Thinking you could understand us with machines and data. Yes, the leader admitted. We did. What happens now? The leader stepped aside, clearing the path to the door. Now you go. Take your female. Leave this ship. We will return you to your world. June did not move. Just like that? Just like that. The leader's voice was strange, quiet, almost sad. The council wanted knowledge about your species. Now we have it. And the knowledge has changed our plans. Changed them how? We were going to recommend Earth for conquest. Your planet has resources we need. Your species seemed weak enough to control. The leader paused. But now I will recommend something else. I will recommend that we leave your world alone, forever. June felt the weight of those words. The entire human race had been one report away from invasion. One alien's decision away from war. Why? He asked. Why change your mind? The leader looked at him. Really looked at him. And in those mirror eyes, June saw the truth. Because you are too dangerous, the leader said. Not your weapons. Not your machines. You, your species. The thing inside you that makes you fight when you should surrender. The thing that makes you stronger when you should be weaker. We do not want to wake that thing in all 8 billion of you. June lowered his weapon, slowly, carefully. Smart choice, he said. Then he walked past the leader. Toward the door, toward Hana, toward home. Behind him. The leader spoke one last time. What tools? June stopped. He turned his head, just slightly. What? When you broke the restraints, the leader said. You said something. 2 words. What tools? What did you mean? June smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator. You said humans are weak without tools, he said. I was asking what tools you meant, because I did not need any. Then he opened the door and went to find Hana. Behind him, The leader stood alone in the empty room, thinking about what it had learned. Thinking about the species called human. Thinking about the thing they called Wildot. And for the first time in its long, long life, the leader of the Veth was afraid. The door opened into a smaller room. Cold white light filled every corner. Strange machines lined the walls, their surfaces covered in buttons and screens that June could not read. In the center of the room, on a raised platform, Hana lay still. June's heart stopped for one terrible moment. Then he saw her chest rise and fall, breathing. She was breathing. He crossed the room in 3 steps. His hands, still covered in dried blood, touched her face. Her skin was warm. Her pulse was steady under his fingers. She was alive. "Hannah," he said softly. "Hannah, wake up. I am here." Her eyes moved behind closed lids. Her fingers twitched. Slowly, like someone rising from deep water, she opened her eyes. For a moment, she did not seem to know where she was. Her gaze moved around the room, confused and frightened. Then she saw him. "June?" Her voice was weak, barely a whisper. But hearing it was the most beautiful thing June had ever experienced. "I am here," he said. "I found you. Everything is going to be okay." Tears spilled from her eyes. She reached up with shaking hands and touched his face, as if she could not believe he was real. "I heard fighting," she said. "I heard the alarms. I thought you were dead." "Not dead. Not even close." She tried to sit up. He helped her, supporting her back with his arm. Her body was weak from whatever they had given her, but her spirit was strong. He could see it in her eyes. The same fire that had always burned there. "They told me you were fighting," she said. "They said you broke out of your cell. They said it was impossible." She looked at his bloody wrists, his torn clothes, his battered body. "How did you do it?" June smiled. "It was tired and sad and full of love. I thought about you." Hana laughed. It was a small sound choked with tears, but it was real. "You are crazy," she said. "Crazy for you." She hit his arm weakly. "That is terrible. Even now, you make bad jokes. Someone has to." He helped her stand. Her legs were unsteady, but she could walk. That was all that mattered. They could move. They could escape. "Can you walk?" He asked. "Yes." She took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Where are we going?" "Home. The Veth are letting us go." Hannah looked at him with surprise. "Letting us go? Why?" "Because they are afraid of us." She did not understand. June could see it in her face. But there would be time to explain later. Right now, they needed to move. He led her out of the room and into the corridor. The alarms had stopped. The ship was quiet now, almost peaceful. But June did not relax. He kept his weapon ready, his eyes scanning every shadow. They walked through the maze of corridors. June retraced his steps, following the bloody footprints he had left on the floor. They passed fallen guards, still unconscious or groaning in pain. Hana looked at them with wide eyes. "You did all this?" She asked. "I had help." "What help?" "You, knowing you were waiting for me. That was my help." She squeezed his hand. No more words were needed. They reached a larger chamber. The leader was there, along with several other Veth. They stood aside as June and Hana entered, watching them with those strange mirror eyes. "The shuttle is ready," the leader said. "It will take you back to your planet, back to the place where we found you." June nodded. He did not thank them. He did not forgive them. Some things could not be forgiven. "One more thing," the leader said as June walked toward the shuttle. "A message for your species. If you choose to share it." June stopped but did not turn around. "What message?" "We have watched many worlds, many species. Some we conquered. Some we ignored. Some we destroyed. But we have never met a species like yours. A species that refuses to stay down. A species that becomes stronger through suffering. The leader paused. When it spoke again, its voice was different. Softer. Almost respectful. We will leave your world alone. Forever. This is our promise. But we ask something in return. What? Do not come looking for us. Do not bring your wars into the stars. The galaxy is vast, and there are many worlds. Live on yours. Grow. Build. But please, for the sake of all living things, stay on your own world. June turned his head slightly. He looked at the leader with cold eyes. We do not start wars, he said, but we finish them. Then he walked into the shuttle, Hana at his side. The door closed behind them. The shuttle was small and simple. 2 seats faced a curved window that showed nothing but stars. June helped Hana into one seat and took the other. The shuttle hummed to life and began to move. Through the window, they watched the Veth ship grow smaller. It was enormous, June realized now. A massive vessel that could have held thousands of creatures. And he had fought his way through it alone. June, Hana said quietly. What happened while I was unconscious? What did they do to you? They studied me, tested me, tried to understand what makes humans survive. And what did they learn? June looked at her. In the dim light of the stars, she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Battered and tired and scared, but still here. Still fighting. They learned that we do not give up, he said. They learned that we are stronger than we look. They learned that when we have something to fight for, nothing can stop us. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke again. They said I broke my restraints too. When I heard you fighting, when I knew you were coming. She looked at her own wrists, where faint bruises marked the places where metal had held her. I do not remember doing it. I just remember wanting to help you, wanting to see you again. That is what makes us human, June said. The wanting, the hoping, the refusing to quit. The stars streamed past the window. Somewhere ahead, Earth waited. Their home, their world. What happens now? Hana asked. We go home. We heal. We live. And the Veth? June thought about the leader's warning. Do not come looking for us. Do not bring your wars into the stars. They will leave us alone, he said. They are afraid of what we might become. Hana leaned her head against his shoulder. Her eyes were closing, exhaustion finally catching up to her. Good, she murmured. They should be afraid. June smiled and held her close. Outside the window, Earth appeared. A blue and green marble floating in the darkness. Home. They had been taken from that world by creatures who thought humans were weak, who thought humans needed tools and machines to be dangerous, who thought they could study humanity like bugs under glass. They had been wrong. June looked at his hands. They were still bloody, still damaged, still marked by battle. But they had broken alien metal. They had defeated alien guards. They had proven something important. Humans were not weak without tools. Humans were the tools. Every muscle, every bone, every drop of blood was a weapon. Every thought, every memory, every love was fuel. The Veth understood that now. The whole galaxy would understand eventually. Humanity was awake. And the stars would never be the same. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere. Blue sky replaced black space. Mountains appeared below, and forests, and the winding path of a familiar hiking trail. They were home. June carried Hana out of the shuttle and into the morning light. The air smelled like pine trees and wet earth. Birds sang in the distance. Everything was normal. Everything was safe. Behind them, the shuttle lifted off and disappeared into the sky. Gone forever. Hana opened her eyes and looked around. A small smile crossed her tired face. "We made it," she said. "Yes," June agreed. "We made it." They stood there together in the forest, two survivors of an impossible journey. Above them, the sky was clear and blue and full of stars they could not see, but the stars could see them. The stars knew what they were now. The unbroken. And that was enough.